And with great, great pleasure, joining us now, Victor Davis Hanson, Hoover Institution Senior Fellow. Victor, there's a lot to talk about here. I want to get your reaction to the Middle East peace and so forth. But just on this narrow point of China, China's a big loser here. And I don't know whether that had anything to do with their trade circular that they dropped, about rare earths last Friday or not. But China's a big loser, and they may be a big loser in the Ukraine situation, too, when Mr. Trump gets around to it. What do you think about that? Is it far-fetched or what?
No, you're right. They were a malignant player. They were arming and buying oil and making Iran rich. And they thought that would lead to inroads in the Gulf sheiks as well. And they lost out because their client turned out to be loud but impotent, Iran, and it's not a player. And then its surrogates, Hezbollah, Hamas, the Houthis, have all been neutered or partially neutered. Same is true of Russia. They don't have a client in Syria anymore. So this peace deal was really about two things, Larry. It was who was not going to play a role that thought they should, that always blocked a settlement. That was China, Russia, and the UN, and Trump bypassed all of them. And he showed the world they were impotent. They had no influence. And then who was were three players. The Arab moderates, and unlike Biden, he did not try to insult the Saudis by calling them pariahs. Unlike Obama, he did not insult Netanyahu and leaking chicken blank blank about the Netanyahu government, and he did not try to ostracize Sisi in Egypt. And so he got the moderate Arabs, he got the Israelis, and he got the United States. And these three powers will then adjudicate what happens. The only real question is, what do you do about Hamas when they reform with these 1,700 terrorists? And the answer will be one of these three players, either the moderate Arabs or Israel or the United States, is going to have to deal with Hamas, or all three, or the other two are going to have to agree, because Hamas, as sure as the sun rises, will try to do what it always do, and that is try to destroy Israel and kill Jews.
All right. Here's, by the way, here's Mr. Trump today on this Hamas business. Take a listen, please.
On Gaza, how long will it take Hamas to disarm, and can you guarantee that is going to happen?
Well, they're going to disarm, and because they said they were going to disarm. But we have told them we want to disarm, and they will disarm. And if they don't disarm, we will disarm them. And it'll happen quickly and perhaps violently. But they will disarm. Do you understand me?
So it's pretty clear. They will disarm one way or the other. And this raises another point, Victor. I've said this before. I'm sure you've written about this. Mr. Trump is not afraid to use force. He's not afraid to let Israel use force. It's completely different than the Biden-esque appeasement that we saw for so many years, or for that matter, the Obama appeasement that we saw for so many years. And I just have this sense, you look at the two of them, Netanyahu and Trump, at the speech at the Knesset, and it just, the thought occurred to me. I mean, you and I, we've both been around looking at this, reporting on this. Here are the two old warriors, and we need old warriors. We need warriors, in fact. Warriors are the solution, not appeasers. That has to be one of the lessons learned here. Force, warriors, that's the way to preserve freedom and democracy wherever it's in doubt.
Yeah, and I think the subtext of that is, if when you say something, you have to back it up. So you remember Obama said that Syria had a red line, and then they still had WMD, didn't do anything. And Biden said to Putin, don't go into, and that was meaningless. But Trump did take out Soleimani. He killed Baghdadi. He wiped out the Wagner group in Iraq. And he also took out the nuclear facilities in Iran. So what he says he's going to do, he does. And the same is true of Netanyahu. Netanyahu warned and warned Iran what was going to happen to Hezbollah, and they all fulfilled their warnings, and that made a big difference. That told the moderate Arab group, you don't have to put your head in a noose and take risk with these radical Islamicists and then see the Americans or the Israelis back out or waffle or triangulate. They will stick with you. And when that was apparent to them, they said, you know what, there's a lot to be said for that, and we're going to back the strong horse. And that's why they came in, especially Egypt and the Gulf states and Turkey, because they felt that these people meant business and they were going to win, and they wanted to be on the right side, and Hamas was going to lose and be humiliated, and they did not want to be on the losing side.
Including the Saudis especially. And you know what? I mean, the question is, in a sense, Victor, are we headed for a new world order in the Middle East? And in some sense, you were adding Russia into it. You're exactly right. I mean, in some sense, there's a new world order being hatched here. The Middle East is the fulcrum of it, but this thing could spread like wildfire. I mean, China's a loser. I don't know how the Ukraine thing's going to work out, but it seems to me Mr. Trump's going to devote his considerable skills towards solving that, too. Is there a new world order?
Yeah, I think in methodology, too. I think Trump, Kushner and Trump and Welkoff, they're all business people, and they approach these problems in a very pragmatic way. They don't demonize people. They don't give them lectures about democracy or freedom. They take the world as it is, and they try to make it better. They don't try to bomb Libya and reconstruct it or rebuild things. And I think people in the Middle East see that, and they'll say, you know what, we say to basically, you're not the devil and we're not God. We're just trying to work out something so more people, and I think people in that part of the world appreciate two things. If you keep your word and you show strength and you're realistic and you don't insult people and you don't look down, you're not sanctimonious. It's sort of like going to Afghanistan and waving the pride flag from our embassy, or making them have a gender studies program at the University of Kabul. You just don't do that. That's cultural imperialism, as the left would say. And I think Trump came in with businessmen that were hard-nosed, and they said, you can all profit, you can all make prosperity, it'll be good for everybody, or you can do what we always do, and that's going to lead nowhere. That leads to perdition. And that meant that the Russians had no role. There's no Russian plan, there's no Chinese plan, there's no UN plan. And that was all failure in the past. And we don't know what's going to happen, but for the first time we have a chance, because Trump took an entirely antithetical position, as you said, to every type of approach that had been employed before.
Which, leads me to ask you, in your wisdom, is Mr. Trump stopping the decline of America? Is he stopping it? Is he stopping it overseas, and is he stopping it at home?
Well, I think people overseas believe he is. You look at that stage of all the people who wanted to be included in the Middle East settlement. It was like when he was at Notre Dame Cathedral, he was rushed. So they feel that there's certain ingredients to national greatness and recovery. It's energy, it's closing the border, it's addressing fertility, it's stopping crime, it's creating a powerful military, recruitment's up. So there's certain barometers of the world. It's standing up to China and not trying to antagonism, just say, what can't go on with you won't go on. And everybody's looking at this, and they said, wow, the United States was always strong. It was in managed decline, and this guy came along and reasserted its innate strength. And now when you look at AI and cryptocurrency, genetic engineering, all these new disciplines, he's got Silicon Valley and the scientific private sector, and they're confident. And Elon Musk and SpaceX, it's a very exciting time where our entrepreneurial class, and which the left calls the oligarchic class, they've got a new sense of patriotism and national commitment. They really do want to make their products help the United States maintain its primacy in the world. And I haven't seen that in a long time.
Reagan always said, strong at home, strong abroad. Weak at home, weak abroad. Yes. Mr. Trump is in less than 10 months, Victor. It's really, we're not quite through the month of October. He was inaugurated January 15th. In less than 10 months, fewer than 10 months, I think he is stopping the decline and moving us back on the recovery path. He calls it the golden age, and I know the returns aren't all in yet, but when you see stuff, getting the tax cut bill passed and so forth, closing the border, but what he's doing in foreign policy, this was a guy who wasn't supposed to understand foreign policy. He was an isolationist, all completely wrong, completely, utterly wrong. He's thinking outside the box, and he's changing everything in fewer than 10 months, Victor.
Yeah, and you can see it's not what you or I say, Larry. It's why Iran is afraid of him, and
Yes.
why Russia respects him, and why China can't figure him out, but is worried about him, and why all the Europeans suddenly are competing to get to the White House and promising they're going to spend 5% on NATO, they're going to stop the illegal immigration. They're emulating his plan in America and Europe, at least they want to. And he's causing revolutions in Europe of center-right parties we haven't seen before. So it's the world is reverberating what you're saying. That it's not, we're not propagandists. We're just saying empirically, people feel that the United States is back, it's strong, and they haven't seen that in decades. And they're shocked by it, but they're also, if you're an ally or a neutral, they want it. And if you're an enemy, they don't like it and they're worried.
Just one last one, Victor. I hate even to let you go, but the great hero Charlie Kirk will be awarded posthumously the Presidential Medal of Freedom in a little while of some kind. Your last thoughts on that one?
Well, I think he was the the brightest and the most successful political activist of either persuasion, left or right, that we've seen in 50 years. And he was not what the left said about him. He was a kind person. He tried to open dialogue. I met him, I knew him, I did his show, and I really had a lot of respect for him. And he didn't go to college, and he sort of reminded people, you can be bright, successful, and maybe you shouldn't go to college in some cases like I did. And he was an autodidact. He still loved learning. He was very inquisitive. He was self-taught, and he was just a very impressive guy, and it's one of the great tragedies of our age that somebody did that. It was horrible what happened.
Yes, but he'll be remembered. He'll be remembered.
Yeah.
That's perhaps the best part. Victor Davis Hanson, thank you ever so much. We appreciate it, sir, as always.
Thank
You bet.
you, Larry.
Sure.